Hey everybody, happy Wednesday. Mark Causey here from Black Cat Comics in rockin Milpitas. Every Wednesday is New Comic Day, and I like to give you some great reasons to get down to your local comic shop and pick up something fun to read. This week is packed with stuff that's fun to read. Gonna start with the Marvel guys because I got this big old chunky stack of Marvel books. Huge week for your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Let's start with Amazing Spider-Man number 23. The big finale to the Hunted storyline. It's been really awesome. Spencer's been kicking butt on this title, bringing back all the classic villains in a huge apocalyptic event. If you've been holding out on this one, I put together a Black Cat pack of the whole series, going all the way back to number 16 to the current issue, number 23. You can jump back in at 16, pick up the latest issue, whatever you like. It's a good time to be reading Amazing Spider-Man. Fun title. Lots of other Spider-Man like Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, taking on the Prowler, or Symbiote Spider-Man, little flashback story from back in the day by my man Peter David, or Superior Spider-Man. Don't want to say too much about that one because, well, I don't want to be spoilerific. And Venom. That Superior and this Venom are a couple of War of Realms tie-ins. Of course, we'll have a lot more War of Realms tie-ins to talk about in just a minute, but let's stay on our Spider-Man theme, like Spider-Man Life Story. This book has been red hot, selling out every single time. It's a sort of out of continuity, kind of interesting look of Spider-Man's history, overlaid over real-time events. It's been really interesting, really fun read. But like I say, it's probably all sold out and gone to reprint. Your local shop's probably out of issues, so if you're not already following this one, you may have to wait for a trade paperback. But if you are, then the new issue is out this week. Yet still more Spider-Man to talk about. Marvel does a really cool thing called their True Believers line, which is $1 reprints of some of their all-time great classics. Few Spider-Mans to talk about this week, like this one, first appearance of Morbius. The original printing of this book is red hot right now. A lot of speculation about Morbius, about the movies and all that kind of thing. There's that one. Cool black suit Spider-Man reprint. Cool Todd McFarlane Spidey taking on the Hulk reprint. And last but not least is this big old chunky Marvel Tales Spider-Man. This one reprints an early Mysterio from Amazing 66, an early Black Cat story, Spider-Woman's first appearance in Marvel Spotlight. They've been doing these Marvel Tales for a little while, sort of a focus on a particular character with some all-time classic reprints. A little pricey at $7.99, but it's a great way to pick up some classic comics that will cost you a whole lot more than $8. Huge week for Spidey. Great week to be a Spidey fan. Lots of X-Men to talk about. Age of X-Men Apocalypse. And Age of X-Men Marvelous X-Men. This has probably been the hit of the whole bunch. Though all of this Age of X-Men stuff has been pretty popular. Like the War of Realms, I've been a little pleasantly surprised with how the fan base has responded to all of the multiple event books. I always like it when people like what they read. Those are a couple of X books. Major X from Rob Liefeld, another book that's been selling out every single issue. Another book I hope is already on your list, or maybe you're already in line at your favorite shop for this one. And X-Force with Rachel there on the cover. Rounds out your X stuff for the week. And then there's lots of War of Realms to talk about, like the aforementioned Superior Spider-Man and Venom. Here's War of Realms Giant Man, one of the official tie-in War of the Realms. And then there's a few like crossover books, like As Guardians of the Galaxy, one of my favorite new titles from Marvel these days, because I love me some Angela, going all the way back to her first appearance in Spawn number 9. Champions, another book that's super awesome. Another War of the Realms tie-in. Speaking of super awesome, how about Silver Surfer Black number 1? Great to see this guy back in his own title. One of the all-time great characters of comics. One of the many Lee Kirby creations that we all know and love. Like I say, great to see him back in his own book. And The Immortal Hulk. Is there a more popular title than this one right now? From the very first issue, I've been encouraging you guys to pick this up. Really cool flashback, original take on the character. These amazing Alex Ross covers. Really one of the best books in comics. I've been saying I'm not traditionally the biggest Hulk fan, but I've been loving this book. Like I say, it's just exploded in popularity. Even the trades had sold out and gone to a new printing. So grab the first volume trade paperback to see what I'm talking about, or just dive into the latest issue. It will make you a fan. Really good book. The Invaders, is my book of the week because it's the only one with Captain America on the cover. Anytime there's Cap on the cover, Submariner on the cover, or both of them on the cover, I want that book. This is Invaders number 6. Wraps up the first arc that's been going on. Really, really great book. Pick up the Black Cat pack of 1 through 6, or grab the first issue, or just dive into this penultimate ending. Good stuff there. Ironheart is your other Avengers tie-in book for the week, I suppose. And The Punisher rounds out your Marvel Universe proper, but always a couple of things to talk about, like Age of Conan. There's a lot of Conan books coming from Marvel these days, like Age of Conan, Savage Sword of Conan, Conan the Barbarian. Of course, he's in Savage Avengers as well. Good time to be a Barbarian fan. And Darth Vader Dark Visions. It's your Star Wars book of the week. Been pushing this Star Wars stuff from day one since they came back to Marvel. Really digging the pretty much the entire line. But the Vader books have been some of the best of the whole thing. So again, if you've been holding out on this one, grab the first issue. Really cool, interesting, sort of flipping the script on Vader's story here. Great, great week for the Marvel guys. Good week for the DC guys too. Always saying it's a big week for Batman. Here he is on the cover of Event Leviathan number 1. This is the next big DC thing. DC's got a lot going on these days, but they just keep throwing more gasoline on the fire like this one. If you read the Superman Leviathan Rising special, this one probably caught your attention. He's been popping up all around the DCU. Very, very cool and interesting story. Big mystery they've got going on. So pick up the first issue of this one. You don't want to let that one get by you. Detective 1005 wraps up the latest arc from the longest-running Bat title. Everybody's reading Detective these days because it's every bit that Batman is. Batman and the Outsiders and The Batman Who Laughs is plenty of Batman for you for this week. This is the last issue of Batman Who Laughs, another one of the red-hot titles, another one of the biggest books DC has. Great stuff there. Catwoman. One of my favorite DC books. This one, along with Nightwing, are a couple of my favorite Bat-related titles. The B cover to this one is going to be super red hot today, so he said mysteriously. You don't already know what it is, go to DCComics.com and check it out because it's super awesome. And Red Hood Outlaw wraps up your Bat-related stuff for the week. Superman. Speaking of that Superman Leviathan Rising thing, a lot going on in the super books these days. You're probably already following this one in Action Comics because you probably follow everything written by Brian Michael Bendis, one of the really top guys working today. I've been loving the super books. You know I'm a big Superman fan. This one's really great. Supergirl, not written by Brian Michael Bendis, but runs parallel to all the other stuff going on in the super books, of course. So if you're following the Bendis stuff, you're reading Superman in action, you might want to put Supergirl on that list. Great stories, great art. And Wonder Woman. Speaking of great stories, great art, another one of the best books DC has. Obviously, one of their longtime classic characters. If you've been holding out on this one, go all the way back to number 58 to jump in on the new story arcs. Great stuff there. And Justice League Odyssey is your team-up book for the week. Also a lot going on in the Justice League books these days. There's this one, Justice League Dark, and of course the proper Justice League. Flash! Speaking of Justice League guys, taking on, or completing the year one storyline that's been rolling out. Hawkman, another classic Justice Leaguer. Been saying it's great to see this guy back in his own book. And speaking of all that Bendisness, here's Wonder Twins, part of the Wonder Comics line that's been rolling out, because he does a lot more than the super books and the crime books. He also does a bit of those tween YA kind of stuff that's so popular these days. And House of Whispers is your Vertigo Sandman Universe book of the week. You know we love us some Neil Gaiman around here. And it's a great week for all the other guys too. You might have heard of something called Umbrella Academy. You've been waiting for this one. This is the latest issue from the third series of the Red Hot show that's been rolling out. Another one of the comic properties that's taking the world by storm. If you've only been watching the show, you're going to want to grab those trade paperbacks to the first two series or just jump right into this third series. Everybody digging Umbrella Academy these days. Oblivion Song from Robert Kirkman is one of your Image books for the week, along with Prodigy from Mark Miller. You guys go nuts for Mark Miller. He's got all kinds of things as he gets ready to prime the Netflix queue. And Ride along with Sonata are your two first issue Gotta Have It image books of the week, because there's always a first issue Gotta Have It image book of the week. Speaking of, Archie and Sabrina. I've been talking about Archie Comics and the just astounding job they're doing as a publisher. Huge line of all the PG-13 kind of stuff and the horror line that they have. All kinds of great stuff coming from Archie. This is number 705 from Nick Spencer, the guy who's currently writing Amazing Spider-Man. This will start the crossover with Sabrina. You've seen him date Betty, you've seen him date Veronica, now he's dating Sabrina. That Archie guy, he really gets around. Good stuff there. Jughead's Time Police is one of the books I've been waiting for. If you're a classic Archie fan like I am, you remember Jughead's Time Police from way back in the day. If you don't know much about this one, you're going to want to pick this up. You didn't know that Jughead was a time-traveling detective, but now you do. Like I say, Archie is just knocking it out of the park every single week these days. Everybody should have an Archie book on their list, and you can start with Jughead's Time Police because Jughead's awesome. Elvira, Mistress of the Dark, along with Red Sonja, Birth of the She-Devil, a new series that's taking a look at the origins of Red Sonja, and James Bond Origin are all my Dynamite books for the week, because Dynamite just does an amazing job with all their licensed property stuff. This week shows a great example of the huge range that they have. If you can do Elvira, Red Sonja, and James Bond and satisfy all of those fan bases, you're doing something right. And Dynamite does something right every single week. Transformers number 7, with this cool free pack of gaming cards that you get inside your especially cool poly bag. IDW has relaunched the entire Transformers thing from the beginning, rebooted the whole bit, so if you're a big Transformers fan, there's a reprint to the first issue out this week, so check that out, catch up to this week's number 7. Good time to be a fan of those guys. The Storyteller is your Jim Henson book of the week, always talking up the great job Archaia does with their Jim Henson stuff. Love me some Storyteller. It's a great little show. It's really, really fun to have it back in comics. Everybody loves Jim Henson. Robotech is your Titan book of the week, because like Transformers, you guys can't get enough of giant robots. And Carson of Venus and Warlord of Mars is my American mythology title for the week. A little like Aftershock and some of the smaller guys. Been talking up a lot of American mythology lately. You know I love some Warlord of Mars. I'm always talking up John Carter and Deja Thoris from over at Dynamite. Carson of Venus is another ERB license that we all love so much. American mythology does really great stuff with classic lines like this. They do a really great job with their all ages stuff, doing things like Casper and different things that we'll get to in just a minute. So check out some American mythology comics, because they're really super awesome. And as the aforementioned all ages stuff, Archie and Friends Beach Party reminds you that, much like I was talking about the incredible stuff that Archie does all the time, they still do their all ages stuff that you know and love, and everybody has always known and loved. Love me some all ages Archie. And Casper Spooksville, as I said, American mythology, they do a whole lot more than, you know, just the classic comic stuff. They do all kinds of things for the all ages too. And these are like genuine reprints of the old school stuff. So something fun for you, fun for the kids. Speaking of fun for the kids, Disney Comics and Stories is a big old chunky $5.99 trip through the Disney universe, which is always fun. Always great to see Mickey back in comics. And Incredibles 2 is your Pixar comic of the week. Lots and lots of great all-ages stuff like Marvel Action Spider-Man. IDW does a whole line of the Marvel all-ages stuff like this one, the Avengers, Black Panther. They're going to be rolling out a whole bunch more. They're really good, and they've been selling out like crazy. So if you've got a younger reader in your life, or if you're just looking for something light, something fun, check out the Marvel Action line from IDW, because it's awesome. My Little Pony and Secret Life of Pets wraps up your all ages stuff. Always encouraging you guys to go to the different publisher sites, check out their all ages section. A lot of publishers do all kinds of different things with their all ages lines, and there's an all ages book out there for just about anybody. Great stuff this week, so make sure you check those shipping lists, get down to your shop, pick up something super awesome. That's all we got for you for this week. You can check us out at Facebook, check out our YouTube channel, check out the podcast at soundcloud.com, go to black-cat-comics.com and hit up our Shopify store to find some especially cool things you might not see here in the shop, or just get on down here to the good old brick and mortar in Rockin' Milpitas. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.